Yes, thank you, Chair. First of all, I note that the Council Presidency is absent during this important debate, which is remarkable as they were responsible for the negotiations. So I am thankful for the presence of Mr. Frattini. However, I would like to start, Mr. Frattini, by objecting to the implicit link that you make with the failed terrorist attacks in the UK last week. I find that distasteful. It has nothing to do with PNR. And that brings me to an important point that this House has emphasised many times, and that is the need for an evaluation. We need evidence that the use of PNR data actually leads to greater security and that they are not used only to catch people who commit document fraud or drug smuggling or whatever. We need evidence and not anecdotes by Mr. Chertoff. Evidence. Then you say that this is a good agreement. Well, it serves two purposes: to legalise the transfer of data by carriers, and secondly to provide, as you say, a high level of data protection. Well, it fails miserably on the second objective. It is not legally binding. It actually explicitly states that it does not confer any rights on any person or any party. Well, how much clearer can it get? Then it looks good superficially, but it is full of loopholes, open definitions and exceptions when it comes to purpose limitation, for example, or the retention periods, which are actually going up to 15 years and maybe even more, and they are applied retroactively. I am not a lawyer, but that strikes me as distinctly funny. Then the reduction of 34 to 19 data. I am sorry, that is an insult to our intelligence. If you actually look at the data, it is not a reduction. The 34 are merged into 19 data fields. I am not stupid, you know. We may not have any powers here, but we are not stupid. Then with pull to push, we got that promise back in 2004. We still do not have it. It is technically feasible, so why don't we have it? Democratic oversight is completely lacking. This House may not have competences anymore, but the national parliaments are completely excluded. Some of the national parliaments will get to approve the agreement, but they can only say yes or yes, because they do not have time, they do not get all the necessary information, only very summary information, and as it was just pointed out, if one national parliament says no, then there is no agreement and no parliament will want to take that responsibility, so they are with their backs against the wall. Then, with regard to the Privacy Act, yes, it is a good thing that it now covers European citizens. That is something that we have been calling for many times. However, we all know that the Bush administration uses all sorts of exceptions and exemptions to the Privacy Act, which incidentally affect American citizens as it does European citizens. And finally, to conclude, on your proposal, which is not a real proposal because you floated it at a press conference rather than putting a real proposal before this House, on a European PNR scheme. Well, I think the timing was wrong last week, and I also would like to know what is the justification for such a scheme. We do not even know what purpose the PNR agreement with the United States serves. We do not know how many terrorists were caught, how many attacks were prevented and how many false positives there have been. We have insisted on an evaluation before signing a new agreement. And finally, I would like to recommend to the EPP that they support the joint resolution that we will negotiate tomorrow and read the agreement very carefully. Read it very carefully and look between the lines, because it is not as good as it looks. Thank you.